Hi, and welcome to the next in our series of webinars where we explore how to use Minecraft in education. This session will explore collaboration and team building skills. So my name is Simon. I'm a former ICT and computing teacher with several years experience of working in education. I'm an MIE expert and also a Minecraft Global Mentor. So in this session, you will learn how to set up and join a multiplayer world. You'll understand planning and building in Minecraft World and apply 21st century skills to Minecraft, allowing for collaboration, creativity and communication. I thought I'd start off by exploring some key vocabulary that I'll be using throughout this webinar. So when I mention collaborative gameplay, this is when multiple players enter the same Minecraft world to play, create and build with the same purpose and goal. And when I mention the word join, this is how a player enters the same world with other players in with a special code, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. Multiplayer world, this is a world that has more than one player, and a host, this is the player that has the world launched first and named on the computer and has the ability to control permissions for incoming players. The host shares the join code with other players. So let's start by exploring the power of multiplayer lessons and activities with Minecraft Education Edition. Thankfully, it's now really easy for students and teachers to join each other's worlds. Traditionally, this has always been the case. So when I first started teaching several years ago and started exploring Minecraft, when you created a Minecraft world and shared it, you had to share it on a server. This caused a few issues. One, I had to have the servers unblocked off the network. We had to have certain ports and certain URLs unblocked across the authority. And there's also safeguarding issues because these servers were public and anyone could join. Thankfully, this has all changed now. One of the big things that has changed now is that a Minecraft world no longer automatically broadcasts across the network. So even in previous versions of Minecraft Education Edition, as soon as a teacher or child created and launched their world, it automatically broadcast across the network. This meant that other students could then automatically join. And this caused lots of issues and arguments and students being upset because other students would join their world and either deliberately or accidentally destroy their builds or steal items from their chest. We call this griefing in Minecraft. It refers to those students who go against the grain and deliberately try and cause trouble. Thankfully now this doesn't happen, and instead the teacher or the child has to explicitly set an option to say whether they want other people to join their world. In addition to that, when they do share their world across the network, Minecraft also creates a 4-digit code. Now no one can join that student or teacher's world unless they have that 4-digit code. The other nice thing as well is I often get asked by teachers, well, what if a child creates a world and shares it with their friends and shares the code, and then at the end of the session they go away? Does that mean other children can use that code and come in later and do damage to that world? The answer is no. So there's two reasons for this. The first one is that when a child finishes the game and presses exit, it closes their Minecraft and it kicks everyone out of the game. So it kind of creates like an ad hoc server on their local device. So as soon as they exit the game, it kicks everyone out. Also, that code that's generated is only works live during that game. So when they launch Minecraft again, it'll generate a new 4-digit code. So the students can't use the code from the previous world. In addition to this, players now have the ability, as a student or the teacher, to set certain permissions on those people that join the game. So when a teacher or child creates in the world and shares it with their friends and shares the code, they can choose one of 3 permissions for those other players joining. The first option they can select from is Visitor. So this allows joining players to explore the world without interacting with it. Like in a museum, joining players can move around and look but cannot build or destroy. The next option is Member. This setting allows joining players to interact in the world, allowing to break and create blocks, interact with other players and attack mobs. Most often you will choose Member. The first option is visitor. So setting allow. The first option is visitor. Setting this allows joining players to explore the world without interacting with it. Like in a museum, joining players can move around and look but cannot build or destroy. The second option is member. So setting this allows joining players to interact in the world, allow them to break and create blocks and interact with other players. This is most often the setting that most players will choose because it allows for co-creation and collaboration. And the final option is operator. So this setting allows joining players to have full access and control to the world, including player permissions and commands for other players. So let's have a look what this actually looks like within Minecraft itself. So here we are in the main menu. So to create a world and share it with other players, first thing we do is we click on play. Create a new world, or we can view a world from our existing library. I'm going to create a new one. Now it's always a good idea to give your world a sensible name. One, it helps you find it later, especially when you have lots and lots of worlds. It's good practice anyway, but it also helps other players to find your world. So I'm going to call this Simon's World, like so. And then I'm going to click on play. And I'm going to click on host yet because I'm just going to show you the difference. So click on play. So when I click on play and create a world, as I mentioned before, it no longer automatically broadcasts across the network. So students can't find my world until I'm ready to share it with everyone else. So once I'm ready, I press escape on my keyboard to go back to the main menu. And notice at the top we have our two tabs. So on the right hand side we have our multiplayer tab. So if I click on that, I can start hosting my world. So it says if you start hosting, we will create a code for you to give to other players so they can join your world. So I click on confirm. And there we go. So here's that 4-digit code that I mentioned that we can share with our friends. Here you'll also find the permissions. So I can select a player that has joined my world. I can click on permissions and I can change the permissions for that player. And I can add or revoke those permissions at any point during the game. If I want to join someone else's world, if I press escape and go back to my settings and quit, and if I go back to the main menu and click on play, at the bottom you'll see a button that says join world. I click on that. I can then enter the code that's been shared with me. So I've just been shared a code from another machine, which is Steve, and then llama, although I think it looks like a rabbit, and then cookie and sign and confirm. And as long as I put in a valid code, it will then search and tell me, is this the world I want to join? Yes, that is. And I can click on confirm and then join that world. So how do you actually use multiplayer in the classroom? I thought I'd share with you a few possible scenarios. So the first scenario is pairs. So multiplayer can often be used with pairs or partners. So in this scenario, one student would take on the role of the host. The host would open the game and share their world and share their code. Another student in the pair joins the host world, and together the pairs work in the same world together. So this could be working to solve a maze. It could be an escape room. So I've had an example where the students can't complete the world unless they work together. So for example, you might have a locked door and there's a pressure plate that opens the door, but the pressure plate is too far away for the door for the player to run off the plate and get to the door before it closes. So you might have one player standing on the plate to open the door, the other player goes to the door and then steps on the plate the other side of the door to let the other one in. So a nice collaborative play. Second scenario is small groups. So usually this is often 3 or 4 players joined together. Again, one student takes on the role of host, so they'll create the world and share the code, and then 2, 3 more other players will join and work together as a small group. Here, communication is key, especially when you have small groups working together on a lesson activity. An example could be the build a treehouse example, where students can work together in small groups on their own devices to build a treehouse in under 30 minutes. This requires students to talk with one another throughout the activity in person or using the in-game chat features. And then the third scenario is the whole class. This is where you have a large group of students or the whole class working in multiplayer. Again, you have a host, so this could be a student or could be the teacher that shares their whole world with the whole of the class. And then they all have to work together to either explore, collaboratively build something, or find the answers. So in this example here, City World, you can see that the teacher set up zones. So whilst all the players are in the same world together, they have their own zones to work in, so they don't interrupt or interact with other players. Here's a couple of examples that I've used in my class. So on the left-hand side, you have the World War I trenches. You also have the medieval Britain. So one thing I like about students working together collaboratively is one, it speeds up world building, so the more people work together, the faster they can complete worlds. Also, I find that students, when building something, especially in Minecraft, they go that extra mile in the research to make it look perfect. So in the example of the World War I trenches, I was walking around the room, monitoring the students, and I saw this one child had finished building this trench and was filling it with water. So I thought that child naturally was griefing and destroying the other students' work. And it turns out that student had actually been online without any input from me, and found out that the Allies had got to the trenches after the Germans, so they had much shallower ground, so the trenches were shallower, and as a result, when it rained heavily, the trenches would fill up and the soldiers would be standing waist high in water, and this was what the students trying to create. The medieval world example is a really nice example of how you can use a club. So I recommend to everyone that before you start using Minecraft or using Minecraft for the first time, use a club to practice first. And I'd recommend that for any new activity or any new technology, not just Minecraft. Because what that allows is it allows for you as a teacher and the students to explore this new technology in a safe environment without the pressures on the classroom. So this was a Minecraft club that I run on a Wednesday night with my digital leaders. So if you're not familiar with the idea of digital leaders, these are students adept at using technology, often run demos or train other students or train teachers in the use of technology. So as a reward for the digital leaders' hard work, I decided to run a Minecraft after school club. And it was on the second week that a history teacher turned up and said, "Oh, I hear we have Minecraft on the network. How do I get started using my class?" So the students asked the teacher, "Well, what do you want to do?" She said, "Well, I'd love to explore medieval Britain." So they looked in the lesson library and they couldn't find anything. So the digital leader just turned around to the teacher and says, "We'll create you a world, sir." So the teacher came back the following week with some pictures of medieval Britain and some videos on YouTube, and the students started to build the world. And each week the teacher come back, make modifications and requests, and the teacher essentially became the client. And then during the first session, a couple of digital leaders actually supported during that lesson. Now this is another example. So this was a project that I run with a local museum, the Black Country Museum in Dudley. And we were running a one-day Easter workshop with some students that never met each other before, all from different ages, from different schools. And they were asked to, in one day, try to create a scale replica of the museum. And this is what they created. For me, this demonstrates a number of benefits of collaborative play. So first of all, we had problem solving. So the students quickly realised that there isn't a smoke block in Minecraft, but they wanted to represent smoke coming from the chimneys from the Black Country Museum. So they soon realised that they could actually use cobwebs to represent the smoke. It also involved a lot of communication. These students or these children never met each other before, so they had to work together to decide who was working on which section and to make sure that everything was to scale. It also involved teamwork as well. And also planning. So the students had access to the museum, so they went out, took some photos in different angles, and we had a project manager, so they come back, start building. They realised, just started building the schoolhouse and realised they only have photos from the front, so another student would go out, take some more photos, come back, upload them to the network, and then the students can carry on working. The other thing I'd recommend is whether it's a club after school or whether it's a part of a lesson, an extended project, whether it's project-based learning or Minecraft, it's all the same. It's good when students are working collaboratively that you set them some roles. So here's some example roles that I've used in the past. So team leader. So this is the host who will launch the world and share it with the rest of the students. Also guides the group with decisions and directions. You have a timekeeper, reminds teams of times needed to complete each stage of the task, such as planning, researching, and building. A recorder, so this person takes notes of aspects of the build. This could be with a digital camera or in the game, so they could be using the camera and the book and quill to take photos and export those images and notes to a OneNote, for example. It's always good to have an encourager in Minecraft and in life to support the team by encouraging problem solving in a positive manner. And a researcher, I mentioned in the previous example where we had people going out taking photos. Or it could be searching information online to make the build more accurate. So you've decided to explore collaboration in your classroom using Minecraft, but how do you manage that, especially because they're playing a game? I definitely recommend starting off by having the students come up with a classroom contract or set of rules. I remember when I first started teaching, my mentor turned around to me and said, I think it's a good idea for you to have your students set up your classroom rules. I just looked at them blankly and thought, you're setting me up for a fall. It's not April Fool's, is it? But I thought I'd give it a try. And I was quite surprised at what the students came up with. So not only did they come up with really good rules, but they also came up with powerful consequences, tougher than anything that I would come up with. And a couple of key things come from this. First of all, it gives students ownership of their learning, but also if they do break their own rules, then they have to deal with their own consequences, which is really powerful. Something else you can do as a teacher or as a student hosting the world in Minecraft is you can set certain classroom permissions. And there's a number of permissions you can change. So you can change whether you have perfect weather, allow or disallow mobs. But the two key features or settings that I would use in a collaborative sense are allow destructive items and immutable world. So with destructive items, you can allow or deny any items that can cause damage in your world, such as TNT or lava, for example. And then immutable world prevents the players from placing or destroying blocks. One of the most frustrating things I find as a new player or even a veteran player like myself is that when you're interacting with certain items in Minecraft, such as pressing buttons or switching on or off levers, it's intuitive to press the left mouse button instead of the right mouse button to interact. And if you're in creative mode, then that destroys that item, so you can no longer get through the door or complete a challenge. So by making an immutable world, it means that students can't accidentally or deliberately destroy anything within that world. It's really, really useful. Also to help us when exploring collaborative play is Classroom Mode. So this is a free companion app that you can download from the Minecraft website, and as teachers it gives us superpowers. So you try to, no matter how good your classroom management skills are, you try to stop a whole class of children playing once they're fully immersed inside a game. The great thing with the companion app is that at such a button you can press pause and it will lock out the keyboard and mouse on this children's screen, so they can no longer get distracted by the game. The other thing you can do is you can teleport players. So let's say, for example, you want the students to, as part of the learning objectives, focus on the main pyramid. So it could be a lesson on the pyramids of Giza, and you might have Ricky. That student always disappears and goes off. Because Minecraft's an open world, they can go off on their own and disappear. Imagine writing the risk assessment for a Minecraft trip. But thankfully, you can either grab Ricky and drag Ricky with his little legs flapping in the air back to where he should be, or you can teleport all the players to a focal point, and then you can use the chat to reinforce the learning objectives. Now, something you need to be aware of when students or you as a teacher are working on an extended project collaboratively is how and where worlds are saved. So when you, as a teacher or a student, hosts a world, it saves it not in their My Documents or in the cloud, but on the local profile of that machine. Now, this raises a few issues, especially if it's an extended project. So first of all, the following week, the host, child or teacher has to go to the same computer, load up the world, and share it for everyone else to access. Now, this causes a problem if the students don't have access to a computer room and the same computer each week, and maybe have a laptop trolley or iPad trolley, and are not guaranteed to be on the same machine. Or two, if the host, or it's the teacher or the student, is away the following week. So it's highly recommended that at the end of every session, especially when working on an extended project, the teacher or the students hosting the world exports their world and makes a backup copy. So from the settings within the game, they can click on game settings and then scroll down, click on export world, and then they can save that as an MC world file into a shared repository. So it could be cloud storage or a shared area, so that if that person is away the following week, or they have to use a different device, they can just simply log in, go to the shared folder, double click on the file, and it will automatically import their world ready for the next session. So it's really good advice. I thought I'd finish by sharing two more examples of how you can support collaboration within your classroom. The first one being build challenges, and the second one being esports. Now, I mentioned at the start that clubs are great for exploring new technology, whether it's Minecraft or any other technology. But what I've found from experience is that just by having a club is not enough. Without focus, the students will quickly get bored or go off task. So I found that a great strategy for clubs is for each week to have a build challenge. Now, there's lots of build challenges available on the Minecraft website. You can also find them within the game itself in the lesson library. But a simple example could be a build battle where all the children come up with a theme or topic, and then you place those in a hat and pick one at random. So it could be either Donald Trump or it could be space, and then the students have to build something that fits in with that random topic. Another example is one of my favorites is build a moat. So this one you can download for free from the Minecraft website. It's also built in the lesson library. So you have students working collaboratively to build a moat around their fortress, and then at the end they go into survival mode and compete against each other to see who has the best defenses. But probably my favorite, and again this works excellently for clubs, is esports. Now esports is getting a lot of airtime at the moment. I noticed on the news recently surrounding the Commonwealth Games that the Commonwealth Committee is starting to explore esports as a legitimate sport for the games, and in the future, not too distant future, students or players may be competing for actual medals in esports. I often get asked by teachers, how can I start esports in my school? I don't have really powerful computers, I don't have gaming rigs, and we can't afford licenses for the games for the students. Well, if you've got Minecraft, you've already got the ability to play esports, and there's a library of resources. And probably my favourite one is the code to create Pirate Cove.
Avast my hearties, and welcome to Pirate Cove, part of the Make and Model eSports series. The Make and Model series allows students to challenge each other in a series of classic build battles, utilising the creative functions of Minecraft to the full, and allowing children to stretch their imaginations and to build in a fun but time-pressured, competitive-based environment. Let's take a look around the Pirate Cove arena. Below us is the spawn area, split into the two team colours, yellow and green. In the bay there are two amazing pirate ships. Each one has a build platform in the team's colours. The rest of the island is fully explorable and made up of typical pirate themes, like a giant skull, a cannon and a mighty chest of gold. Arr! As you can see, the island has a small pirate population, and each one can tell you a little bit more about the game we're about to play. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to dive straight in. But remember, you can check them out in the playbook or open the map and discover what they have to say for yourself. So, let's set up and start a game. First, we need a theme and some players. For this game example, we're choosing a nautical theme, but it could be anything. Here are the players. Next, let's decide how long we want the game to last. In the control panel next to the team areas, you can add or take away 10-minute increments using the blue and red button panels, or even add or take away minutes. As you can see, when I press the Add 10 Minutes button, I get a visual notification in the game of 10 minutes. I can press it again and it updates. If I press to take away, as you'd expect, the timer updates. It also updates on the ship's sails, so when the teams are building, they can see quickly how much time they have left. This is a great feature, allowing you to create long or short sessions depending on your schedule. So let's make this game last 12 minutes by adding 2 minutes. Next, get your players to stand on their team colours. If you're a large group who want to spectate, make sure they're standing elsewhere. Once we're in position, the host of the game can press the Start Game button on the green emerald block. The students' team will immediately be teleported to their team ships and they can begin their competitive building. Each platform has an area of build allow blocks that allow the students to build. Let's see how they get on. Okay, the timer is coming to the end. When the timer ends, we all get a notification and a small new timer on our screens appears. This is the voting time. We have a couple of minutes to look at each other's work and decide whose is better. We do this by standing on the glass area on either ship. When a student stands on this area, the team score updates on the sail. If you're live streaming or don't have enough students in the game to vote, then you can use armor stands instead. Make sure you're in teacher mode by using the command /WB. Placing an armor stand on the glass area acts the same as a student standing there, and the score will update accordingly. Once the voting time ends, the scores are tallied and the winning team gets fireworks! Congratulations to the winning team! Once the game has finished, you need to reset to play again. But first, you might want to use the structure block to export the team's creative builds. Simply click on the block and press Export. You can learn more about this in the playbook. And then remove any armour stands from the glass voting areas. And finally, go back to the spawn and press Game Reset button on the control board. And there you are, you're ready for the next round. When the students start a new game, they can clear the previous build with a click of a button found at the back of the build platform. And that's it. We hope you and your students enjoy Make a Model Pirate Cove Arena. Fair winds and flowing seas to you. Ha!
So, if you enjoyed this session and you want to find out more, you can start by heading over to the official website, education.minecraft.net. If you use social media, in particular Twitter, you can reach out to us at PlayCraftLearn. And if you want to find out about the other webinars we have on offer, you can also check out our education resource activities list at aka.ms/Minecraft EDU UK activities. You can also get certified by taking part and completing the Minecraft Education Edition Teacher Academy. And we also have a new community for UK educators, which is completely free to join, where you'll get access to educator resources, be the latest to hear the news and updates for build challenges and competitions, and also get support from other educators and experts. And that's at aka.ms/Minecraft EDU UK community. And then in the next of our series, we're going to be exploring Minecraft in the curriculum. So each week we'll look at a different curriculum area, starting with maths. We'll also be exploring science, humanities, and computing as well. So please check that out, and you can find out more at aka.ms/Minecraft EDU/maths. So thank you for watching, and we hope to see you at the next webinar, which will be about using Minecraft to support mathematics.